When life refuses to follow our plans, many of us feel an immediate tightening inside the chest. We believe that our worth is tied to our ability to predict, control, and shape every moment ahead. Yet the world does not move according to our designs. The seasons change without asking permission. The people we love grow in directions we did not expect. Even our own hearts evolve in ways we cannot foresee. When we cling too tightly to our ideas of how life should unfold, we create suffering long before anything has gone wrong. In Buddhism, we speak of this clinging as a subtle form of resistance. It is the mind insisting that reality bend to its will. But reality does not argue. It simply continues, quietly and steadily, like a river moving around a fallen branch. When our plans break apart, it is not because the universe is against us. It is because we have mistaken the map for the journey. A plan is helpful, but it is not the path itself. It is only a drawing on paper, while life is the living ground beneath our feet. There is a moment, often small and almost invisible, when we can choose a softer response. Instead of saying, "This should not be happening," we can breathe and say, "This is what is here." Such a shift does not solve every difficulty, but it releases the tension that makes uncertainty heavy. It allows us to meet the unwritten chapters of our lives with openness rather than fear. Every life contains pages that surprise us, pages that confuse us, and pages that humble us. These unwritten chapters are not threats, but invitations. They ask us to walk forward without knowing everything in advance, trusting that clarity will emerge one step at a time. Learning to stand still in uncertainty is one of the quiet disciplines of spiritual life. When the mind becomes restless, it begins to imagine 1,000 futures, each one shaped by fear or desire. We start believing that clarity will come only when every answer has been found, when every risk has been removed. But the truth is the opposite. Clarity is not born from frantic thinking. It grows from stillness, from moments when we stop running after the future and allow ourselves to fully inhabit the present. Uncertainty is not a punishment. It is a natural part of being alive. Every breath we take enters a world we cannot fully predict. Yet instead of welcoming this mystery, we often try to outrun it. We fill our days with noise and distraction, hoping to escape the discomfort of not knowing. But what we resist begins to follow us. The more we attempt to control the unknown, the more anxious we become. Only when we pause do we notice that uncertainty is not chasing us. We are the ones chasing certainty. Standing still does not mean doing nothing. It means allowing the mind to settle enough to see clearly. Like a pond disturbed by stones, the surface becomes cloudy when we stir it with worry. When we stop stirring, the water slowly becomes transparent again. In that clarity, we begin to see that uncertainty is spacious. It gives us room to breathe. It gives us permission to grow in directions we never considered. It reveals possibilities hidden beneath the plans we once clung to. When we learn to be present with the unknown, a quiet strength arises within us. We discover that we do not need to predict every outcome to take the next step. We do not need to understand the entire path to walk the part that is in front of us. In stillness, we touch a deeper trust, one that carries us even when the road ahead remains unwritten. The quiet gift of letting go of control is often misunderstood. Many believe that releasing control means giving up, becoming passive, or accepting whatever happens without discernment. But in the Buddhist view, letting go is not resignation. It is the gentle recognition that we cannot hold the world in our hands like an object. Life is not a stone we can grip. It is a stream that continues to move, whether our fingers tighten or not. When we insist on controlling every detail, our minds become tense and narrow. We focus so intently on preserving our plans that we miss the subtle opportunities arising around us. We become so concerned with avoiding loss that we forget how to receive what is being offered. Control gives the illusion of safety, but it often closes the door to growth. It places us inside a small room, surrounded by our own expectations, unable to see the spaciousness beyond. Letting go is the opening of that door. It is the act of loosening the fist we have clenched around our imagined future. In that release, something unexpected happens. We feel lighter. The world becomes less threatening, not because it has changed, but because we are no longer fighting with it. When we soften our grip, we become more sensitive to the flow of life, more able to respond with wisdom rather than fear. This softening is not a single moment, but a practice. It is the quiet noticing of when tension arises, the gentle exhale that accompanies the thought, "Perhaps I do not need to control this." Over time, the mind learns to relax into the natural unfolding of events. We begin to trust that life can carry us even when we do not direct every step. In this trust, the unwritten chapters of our lives feel less like empty pages and more like open space, inviting, spacious, filled with possibilities that only appear when the heart is no longer holding too tightly. Trusting the path that has not yet revealed itself requires a kind of courage that is both quiet and steady. It is not the bold confidence of knowing what comes next, but the gentle willingness to walk even without certainty. Many of us hesitate when the future feels unclear. We think we must wait for a perfect sign or a detailed map before taking the next step. But the journey of life rarely unfolds with such precision. The path often appears only as we walk it. In Buddhist teaching, trust is not blind optimism. It is the recognition that life has its own rhythm, one that continues with or without our approval. Just as the sun rises without being instructed and the tide moves without needing direction, the deeper currents of our lives unfold beyond our control. When we align ourselves with this natural movement, we discover a sense of ease that does not depend on knowing the outcome. Sometimes trust begins with a very small step. It may be choosing kindness in a moment of anger, or breathing calmly when fear whispers its warnings. These small acts are like lanterns in the dark. They do not illuminate the entire path, but they show us where to place our feet next. And with each step, the way forward becomes a little clearer. We often imagine that trust will erase our doubts, but trust and doubt can coexist. To trust does not mean to eliminate uncertainty. It means to not be ruled by it. Doubt may visit, but it does not need to hold the reins. When we allow trust and doubt to stand together, the heart becomes more spacious, able to move without collapsing under the weight of fear. As we walk forward, guided not by certainty, but by sincerity, the unwritten parts of our lives begin to take shape. What was once frightening becomes familiar. What felt empty begins to reveal meaning. The path shows itself not to those who wait for guarantees, but to those who are willing to walk with openness, step by gentle step. Returning to the heart when the future feels unclear is the final movement of this journey. Plans, hopes, and uncertainties all exist in the mind, but it is the heart that determines how we relate to them. When the future becomes heavy with questions, the mind tends to wander into imagined scenarios, some hopeful, many fearful. If we follow these images without awareness, we drift far from ourselves. The heart grows distant as if hidden behind layers of worry. To return to the heart is to come back to what is real in this moment. Not the story of what might happen, nor the echoes of what has already passed, but the living presence that is here right now. Within this presence, the heart begins to soften. It does not demand answers. It simply listens. It allows each breath to unfold, each thought to rise and fall, without needing to grasp or resist. In Buddhist understanding, the heart is not weak for feeling uncertainty. It becomes weak only when it tries to battle uncertainty with force. Strength comes from gentleness. It comes from allowing ourselves to feel the fullness of our humanity: doubt, hope, confusion, tenderness, and recognizing that none of these states define us. They are passing clouds, not the sky itself. When we return to the heart, we rediscover a quiet wisdom that does not depend on perfect clarity. It reminds us that we have survived every unknown we have ever faced. It shows us that even during our most difficult transitions, something within us continues to guide our steps. This inner guidance is subtle, like a faint pulse beneath the noise of the world, but it is always present. The unwritten chapters of life can appear intimidating when viewed from the mind's restless imagination, but when seen from the heart's calm awareness, they become spacious. They become open fields rather than dark forests. They invite us not to fear the future, but to meet it with honesty and compassion. And in this meeting, we discover that the path ahead, though unseen, is already gently supporting our feet. When we gather all these reflections, the surrender of control, the courage to trust, the stillness within uncertainty, and the return to the heart, we begin to see that the unwritten chapters of life are not obstacles, but companions. They walk beside us, reminding us that the future is never fixed, that every moment contains the possibility of renewal, and that wisdom often arises not from knowing, but from listening. To live fully is to step gently into the unknown, guided by sincerity rather than fear, and supported by the quiet strength that has always lived within us. As we continue forward, may we learn to meet each unfolding moment with softness. May we remember that the path reveals itself in its own time, and may we find peace not by forcing answers, but by opening the heart wide enough to hold both uncertainty and hope. If these reflections have brought you a moment of calm or clarity, I invite you to carry that stillness into your own life, allowing it to settle gently in the places that feel unsettled. If this teaching has resonated with you, I warmly encourage you to support this space of practice and reflection. Please like the video so others may find it more easily. Subscribe to the channel if you wish to continue walking this path together, and click the bell icon so you will be gently notified whenever a new teaching is released. May these offerings continue to nourish your journey.